Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to VSBA's webinar on community engagement, a success story. Today, with you are myself, Sue Siglowski. I'm the Executive Director of the Vermont School Boards Association. And we have Jen Botzajern, who is the Superintendent of the Kingdom East School District. And we thank Jen very much for taking time out of her busy day to spend with us on this very important topic for school boards. And also with us is Carrie Lamb, the Director of Operations for the Vermont School Boards Association.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Botzo-Jorns. I'm the superintendent at Kingdom East School District, which is up in the Northeast Kingdom, in the heart of the Northeast Kingdom. And we are a district that came together 3 years ago in 2018, and we've started before that forming, and the community decided to merge. And our whole philosophy throughout this is that it's an iterative process, and you have to give the community the information, and then from there, the community needs to decide what's the best course forward. So throughout this, I will give you examples of our work. And my chair of my board, Cynthia Stewart, got called to the grand jury as a juror. So she's in Burlington, and my assistant chair got called into the town clerk's meeting because of a voter irregularity. So neither could join me. So we'll go ahead with the presentation. So we created a strategic plan, and to create that strategic plan, we had a year-long process, which had a whole bunch of different ways for input. And we had meetings, we had discussions, and we also utilized social media and in a variety of ways. And so we took a year to determine that, and it ended with a culminating meeting where we had students present, and the students were asked, what is the most important thing in your education? And they were 7th and 8th grade students, and them sharing helped coalesce the whole board. And the board really felt as though we were 7 small towns, and we really wanted to maintain and build our strong community connections in our school. So this action steps in this priority include these regular and routine engagement activities with the school and the parents in the community, and also with the board in the community. So if you scroll down to number 2, priority 3, action step number 2, develop and maintain regular and routine engagement activities. And so the board they've launched Facebook pages, we have videos, we have Facebook chats, we have live Facebook meetings, and it's done a wonderful job of really sort of stepping into the space where people are, and it's really helped us drive our work based on what the community says and believes. And then in addition to that, the board really wanted civic participation by our young people. And so we have a whole bunch of, every 7th and 8th grader has community projects that they're doing out in the community. Here's the priority 3, which I just spoke about. And then the methods of communication, personal invite to town clerks. And this sounds like a kind of a funny idea, but what we've done is once a year, we have a luncheon, and we invite all of our town clerks. And the town clerks, we talk about the elections for the year, what works well, what doesn't, what they need from us, what they're hearing out in the community. And it really is just, we sit around and have sandwiches and cookies, and the agenda walks through whatever is coming up. And that's particularly helpful when you're changing how you're voting, or, our district, we had 7 original school districts, and now we have 1. And so all the votes are commingled. On town meeting day, they had to send somebody with the ballots in a bag, and we all dumped them out, and we had to wait till the last clerk was there, or the last justice of the peace who brought the ballots. And so at these meetings with the town clerks, we talk about that, and that goes a long way in terms of just connections. The second piece that we really like to do is we have board members make phone calls to our selectmen and select women, developmental review board and planning commissions. We're undergoing a whole bunch of work on our facilities right now. And when we have these community engagement meetings, you make a cold call to, Mr. Smith, who's chair of the select board, and you say, can you come to this meeting? It's in a month, it's on a Tuesday night, we really need your input. And that's really helped us get other town leadership into our school planning. And then we have public appearances and postings, and some of this is your standard engagement activities, but I don't know about you all in the listening audience, but we have transfer stations here where people take their stuff to the dump, and Saturday or Thursday afternoon. And so we will have somebody there posting or talking at the transfer station, and we call it trash talk at the transfer station. And then we also reach out to our Chamber of Commerce, and we also go to our real estate folks, and we deliver our monthly or yearly annual reports and publications so they know what's going on in our schools. And the outreach that goes directly to people in our buildings, we have a robocall that, of course, everyone knows you use these for snow days, but we do the email robos very often for me, not very often because you don't want to overuse it. But these are the standard outreach where you email parents, you do a robocall, you send flyers home, and then we do all mailings to residents. And then outward to the community, we use Facebook, and that is our way of sharing information. And we have Facebook posts, and we do video ads, and these are ongoing posts, announcements, infomercials, the newspaper, the press. So I'm going to give you some examples of those so you can see firsthand what's going out there. So and then so there's the social media, and then we have the traditional method of communication where we have a community meeting, a board meeting, and we have a presentation, and then we have what are called these landing pages, and we don't have necessarily our website built out fully, but what we have in the interim are landing pages, which has resources to links. So if you click on that first presentation link, and this is our standard school budget PowerPoint, and all of our PowerPoints tend to follow the same format. You'll see these icons and the colors are the same as the one that we're on right now. And so in our budget, we walk through our goals, and we have photos. It's very photo rich, and if you stop there, we talk about how actions such as a merger impacted our school district. So here we are, we say how many employees we have, and then we talk about this slide right here. Slide 9 talks about how our merger has impacted our communities. So we have cost savings, and we also have improved learning for students. So here's our budget, but also here's this governance change, and here's some benefits of it. And we don't go through here are the negative sides of it because we can't, here we are. And so we really try to emphasize what the good things are. And then when people are struggling with the governance change, i.e. a merger, what we do is we touch base with them individually. And then you can see our budget. We're really clear about our dollar amount. This past year, we were lucky to have a decrease in our budget. And then if you go through a few more slides, you'll get to a comparison slide, which is a couple bar graphs. Here you go, right here. And we always share our tax rate comparison and how we're spending our money across the district. So you can see this is a standard PowerPoint that you would do for your budget presentation. And you can, if you look through this and you want a copy of it, let us know and we can just send it, and you can change it to your district and put in what you need. And then what we do with this PowerPoint presentation is we narrate it. So it's posted on our Facebook page, but somebody talks through all the different pieces of it. And we start with the positive programs, we go through the costs, and then we say how our budget is created. So we don't start with the tax formula because that makes people fall asleep and get confused and get frustrated with the state. We start with what's really great in our schools, what are the great things that are happening. So you can look through this at your own. It's just a standard how you take care of your budget and get to your tax rates. So then we have landing pages. And what our landing pages do is they provide links to other places. And this is a standard Google Doc. And again, this hasn't been interfaced with our website yet, but you see, we have, if you just stop right there on the top of that, we put a bond vote out for our facilities and the bond failed. And so now we're taking another year to reevaluate. And so on the top is the ongoing work. And then in reverse chronological order, we have a timeline of what we're going to be doing next. And then when you get down to March, where we currently are, you can see here's our meetings that we're having coming up, and these are the ones that we invite the select board to, and we have trash talk about. And then we have hot links for all the agendas. Everything is live and people can access it. And again, the Google format is not the most wonderful format, but it's accessible and we use it and it creates information. And one of the things we do in this information sequence, if you stop on those Facilities Friday, is we put out infomercials. And so our bond didn't pass for our facilities. So we said, okay, we're going to do a Facilities Friday video. And you can see the links to all of these Facilities Fridays. And we'll show you a video of one of those in a second. But what these are just weekly updates. And literally, we climb down into the basement, we walk into the parking lot, and we just put the video on and share it. And some of the videos have, 100 people that it reaches, and some have 25, and I think our biggest is 225. That's not a lot of people, but that's enough people who are knowing about what's going on. So if you go back, Carrie, to the PowerPoint, for the webinar, and then you click on, so that's the facilities landing page, and you click on the board landing page. Again, everything that the board would ever want is on this page, and up on the top are the documents, who the board members are, the calendar, the policy, our strategic plan. And then if you scroll down, we have all of our committees. Our board operates on a committee structure, so we have a full board, and we don't do policy governance, but we delegate the work to each committee. So we have an academic excellence committee, a personnel and negotiations, and all of our minutes are on this landing page. And again, it's not that pretty. And we look at this as an iterative process, and eventually we'll have a much nicer website. And our website has other features, and we started with our school-based features, and the board pieces will be later. So that's another example of a landing page, which is an effective way to a warehouse for information. So if you go to the next slide, I think the next slide is so here is one of the things that we've really worked on is leveraging social media. And the idea with this is if we don't tell our story, someone else is going to tell our story. And so
Facilities Friday. Facilities Friday. Facilities Friday. Facilities Friday. Facilities Friday. Facilities Friday. It's Facilities Friday.
Hello, everybody. We are here at Sutton Village School. It's Jen Botso-Jorns, and I have with me here Elizabeth Hubbard. And Elizabeth's the head of maintenance here at Sutton, and we're just going to walk around and show you the parking lot here. And Sutton's looking to do a little bit of work in this paved area. Tell us about this, Ms. Hubbard.
Well, as you can see, we have a lot of different levels going on here, and the water channels in different places, and it's just not real safe or smooth out here. We've had somebody come and look at it. We have some, we've had some quotes put in, and that's about as far as we've gotten at the moment.
So this area here, we're right outside a classroom. What happens when those young people come out the doors and they need a little path in the pavement?
Yeah, well, they think it's fun to play in, but it's really, it's a danger area. I've had the town come down. You can see that we've had some stay mat put in there. The rain just pounds down here and it just keeps washing it out. So we need some help.
Perfect. Well, let's take a little bit of a closer look here, and boy, that must be an ankle twister.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to doing that work here in the Sutton, out by the playground. So thank you so much, Ms. Hubbard.
Sure.
Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Thank you.
I'm Mark Brown, and that's your Facility Friday.
So you can see in that video, it sounds a little hokey, right? But we have a preview and a post view. And the preview, those are all of our principals and leadership team saying Facilities Friday. And then the post view is our facilities manager. And he's the one who goes out and does these. I do some of them, the principals do some of them. And then in the middle, it's a very low tech video. And again, it seems hokey, but here's the deal. The head of maintenance at that school is a community member, and everybody knows her. And so people love to watch it and hear it. And so it's a bit of a celebrity thing. And when the school gets featured on Facilities Friday, all the friends and the relatives of the particular employee who's walking around with the custodian or the head of maintenance, they all share it. And it builds this camaraderie and also this support of what's happening, and people feel like you're really listening to them. And at the same time, it's letting people know what are our facilities needs. And so you can see there's about 25 of them. We try to do them every Friday. Some of them are a little longer, some are a little shorter, and some are positive, some are negative. You know, the mold and lead, we go down into the basement of one of our schools and look at the mold and lead. The soccer field, we built a soccer field, and it was the opening game of that soccer season, and it's the first time the school, is Burke Town School, ever had a soccer game. So this is a way to really reach out to the community and show them visually, and we post them on all of our websites and all of our Facebook pages, and then we like them, and then we have board members like them, so that's how we push out. So let's go to the next slide. So here's another example of leveraging social media. And again, if you don't tell your story, someone else will. And we do budget videos. And the fourth budget video was just the PowerPoint that I showed you earlier. And the third one is, you can see the picture of it, and it's Cynthia Stewart, who's our board chair, and then Marty Feltis, who is a state representative. And they spend the video talking about how the tax rate works. And again, it's not the most professional, amazing thing. We have a preview and a post view, which are kind of good. But the meat of it, there are two people talking about how the tax rate is done in Vermont, but people know these two folks and they trust Marty Feltis, who's their local rep. So it's really a way to get people to see some of the more complicated aspects, and that we're all working together to try to make this work. So let's see if we can click on that video.
Welcome, everyone. You are enjoying one of a four-part series that we are actually putting out for the Kingdom East School District during the budget season to make sure that the community understands the budget, and we have transparency, and all the information is being put out to everyone. So we are very excited. I am Cynthia Stewart, the chairperson of the Kingdom East School District Board, and I'm here today with Marty Feltis. So Marty, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Marty Feltis. I am a Linden resident. I'm also the state representative for Linden, Sutton, and Burke. And so I work in the state legislature, and I work on the appropriations committee, which helps us, or which determines where we spend our money that comes into the state.
So, Marty, people think that their taxes, their local taxes, go right to the school, and that's where spending happens. And I know there's a little bit of a different formula of what happens there. Can you tell us about that?
What really happens is that we have a formula in the state of Vermont in which the state is responsible for funding all the schools in the state, not specifically by each local district. It used to be closer to the fact that local districts were funded by local money. But now, since we've had the Brigham decision for 25 years ago, the decision was that it's the state's responsibility to cover the finances for education. So all the tax money we pay in for education goes into the state, then it gets redistributed back to communities.
And so what I understand is we get actually more money back in Kingdom East than we send in, per se, because the money's put together with other funding as well.
Right. That's exactly what happens. All of the school districts advise the state how much money they need that are voted at each of their town meetings. So our $33 million goes in with whatever St. Johnsbury needs, with whatever Burlington needs, Rutland, everybody else, and it comes into one great big amount of $1.6 billion.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
So then the state decides how are we going to find $1.6 billion and send out the appropriate amount back to each town.
And so they add in some other funds, right? A third of it is made up from some funding, and then 2/3 some other funding?
And that's exactly right. The state has said that all of the sales tax that everyone pays, every time you go to the store, you pay an extra 65 cents for sales tax. All of that sales tax will go to the education fund.
Wonderful.
And a portion of the rooms and meals tax goes in there, and all of the profits from the lottery will go there. So that makes up a third of the education fund. But the other 2/3 must come from property taxes.
And so not just local property taxes, also non-residential as well?
It's that we have divided it between a homestead property tax, which is the value of the property where you actually live,
Okay.
as opposed to all other property. So all other property is a woodlot you maybe own. You're a resident state, you own it, but you're not living there. A store, a factory, open land, forest land, a second home that someone from Massachusetts owns or that you own, cabin in the woods.
Okay.
Anything that's not your homestead is considered non-residential property.
So there you see the video, and you can watch this on your own. There are hot links to these, and again, you can take these PowerPoints and you can beg, borrow, and steal and copy the slides. And one of the key things about these video presentations and about the budget presentation is, so we send a mailing home. We send mailings home to parents. We have an annual report similar to your town annual report. And those all have lots and lots of details. And then we make these videos, which aren't really complicated, and they're local folks, and they're folksy. And you all know, everyone who's on any school board knows that the funding formula for education can seem pretty complicated. So we try to address it in multiple different ways, multiple different people, Facebook, videos, PowerPoints, meetings, written publications. And it's just a way to respect the different ways that people access information. And the second video, the one on the right here, we're not going to watch that one, but you see our facilities manager on the right, that's Mark Brown, and then on the left is Tony DeMasi, who's our chair of our facilities. He's been on our board for 20 years. And the two of them talk about the cost of facilities and how we're managing our facilities. And we deliberately did a facilities video because we are having so many issues with our facilities, and we need to do some work, and we haven't had success. So again, the Facilities Fridays and the facilities video on the budget are two ways where we're really getting out there, and then we're going to have a whole bunch of meetings to try to get people to help us figure out what to do about our facilities issues. And it's really great to do all of this, and what the thing is you got to keep it simple and make it easy. And you saw the budget information video and the Facilities Friday, and again, the trailer, the beginning and the end, those are just pre-made. And then we have somebody just take a video that gets stuck in the middle. And then I'm actually going to I have a tech person doing this, but I'm going to have a 7th grade student do it for me. They just edit it and then we post it. And oftentimes, those of us who are, Luddites and aren't very good at the digital stuff, we want to do it and it takes so much time. You just have to find the people who could do it and do it quickly. And you don't make it a dissertation. You make it something that is easy and efficient. There we go. So one of the pieces about having a communications plan and strategy is, again, I said this earlier, it really is an iterative process. And if you go to the Kingdom East website and you click on each school, you'll see that each school is at a different place in terms of the development of our website. So we're putting together a plan and strategy, and in the interim, we have the landing pages, and we have the videos, and we have our actions, and we have a board committee. As I said, we operate on a committee structure. So we have a policy committee, we have a negotiations committee, but then we have a communications and strategic planning committee. They meet monthly. They look at what we're putting out. They say, maybe we need to do more of this. Maybe we need to spend more time at the transfer station. But monthly, they're really looking at how we're communicating. And the whole strategy is around listening to people, addressing concerns, and telling your story. And the listening piece is essential because oftentimes people need you to hear them, and you need to take what they're saying and really understand how it fits within what you're doing and adjust what you're doing to, you can't meet everybody's needs, but you can understand what their needs are and help address their needs. And again, it's built in, it's baked into our strategic priorities, and our board looks at communication monthly. It's very important to our board.
My question is, when you said that your board addresses communications monthly, how do you do that? You have it on every board meeting agenda, and do you sort of break it down into what particular area of communications you want to address at that meeting? Or I'm just wondering about how you actually do that.
So if you go back into the slideshow, Carrie, if you're able to do that, and you're able to go up to the one that has the links to the 2 landing pages, it's 2 previous slides, and you go down to the board landing page. And then if you scroll up just a little bit, you can see these are our committees. So the Kingdom East Supervisory District, that's our full board meeting. We meet monthly. And then you see teacher negotiations. We haven't met because we have a 3-year negotiated agreement. ESP, you can see the meetings. Those are our educational support personnel, finance committee. And then if you scroll down a little more, you see the communications and strategic planning committee. So they meet monthly. And if you click on that agenda from the 19th of March, you can see what we talk about. You should be able to just click right on that. So here's the March meeting, and we're going to review the plan for the public information communication meeting. So what we've done is we have scheduled 7 facilities communication meetings in March, April, and May. So at this meeting, we'll talk about the plans for these other meetings. So to answer your question, Sue, the full board meets monthly, and at that full board, they get a report from the communications committee. And what the communications committee might do is last month they reviewed the website and they looked at each pages. The month before they looked at the videos and they planned out what videos need to occur. And then when the full board meeting comes, they just share what they've done with that work. So this does 2 things. One, it gives the board members the opportunity to dive deep into something they're very interested in. It also gets them really kind of close to the pulse of some of the bigger things that are happening. And it also allows them to be an expert with the full board when we come together on a sort of a subtopic of what the board does. And, you know, the board's role is negotiations, hiring a superintendent, building a budget, and then personnel, you know, being an arbiter in any personnel issues. So this is under our policy and under our strategic plan, which is communication. So the board members don't get into the weeds, but they're really able to chew on and give vision and strategic priorities around what they believe on communication. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much. It sort of leads me to another question, which is, how long have you been taking this approach, and what benefits have you seen from taking this approach?
So our board, we're almost 2 years old as a district. We've been meeting for over 3 years, and in the first year, all we did was develop policies. And then in the second year, we developed the committee approach. And so we're in our 3rd year now, and we're just beginning to really get into the groove of how to make it work. Remind me what your question was again. I didn't write it down.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is, how long have you been doing this, and what benefits have you seen?
Okay. So we've been doing it for 2 years, and the biggest benefit is that it allows, we used to have 7 individual school boards, and each board did every little thing. And so we would go to a board in one town, say the Burke board or the Linden board, and that board would look at communications. They would look at policy. They would look at budget. And so they became, you know, they'd have to look at so many different pieces. Now, what I see as the difference now is that the full board exists, and then the subcommittees really understand the topics, so they're able to better deploy them. And so for instance, one of our committees is called Academic Excellence, and they're really looking at how are we improving learning for students? How is adding after-school programs impacting how our kids are being motivated to attend school or reading and writing? So I feel like ultimately this structure allows the board to be a part of and have vision and be at a high level, but also really driving student outcomes and helping improve student learning. And it's different than policy governance. And our board was very strongly opposed to policy governance because they really felt, I wouldn't say they were opposed, it wasn't something that they thought would work given our transition from individual boards to one merged school district. So as a merged school district, they really wanted to understand and still stay at a level where they could really make a difference, and feel like they were part of things, and having it be by topic versus by individual town, diving into each topic in each town and replicating that. It really feels like it's providing more for our schools and our children. And I could give examples, academic excellence. I could go into our facilities. We now have a facilities manager who is looking at all of our schools. And yesterday, Dan French, Secretary of Education, came and toured our schools. And we went into Sutton. We climbed into the basement under one of our classrooms, which is a mobile trailer, which is kind of hooked into the school. And it's a dirt floor. And you look up and you see, mold on the plywood. And on the other side of that, it's sealed, but it's the classroom and there's no ventilation. And then we go in the boiler room and we see this really old boiler and no ventilation and no air exchange that's minimal. And then we compare that to, we go down the road to Burke and they have a state-of-the-art pellet plant that was put in. It's all electronic. It's incredibly efficient. So in the past, each of those individual schools were looking at only their own picture. Now we can say, we've got 3 schools with wood pellet plants that are very efficient. We've got 4 that aren't. How can we get grant money to rise the level of all of our programs so that we have better facilities? And that goes across the board with all of those topics. And because the board is really able to focus on an area, it really is improving each of those areas.
Thank you. I just have one final question, which is, what advice would you give to a board that would like to get started on a communication plan, such as the one that you have? Because it seems it's quite well laid out and thought out, and it seems like it would be helpful to know, what are your recommendations for getting started? Otherwise, people may feel like a little overwhelmed.
Right. Well, the VSBA helped us with a grant 2 years ago, and we had some outside folks come in and help us push out into our community and create the strategic plan. And 2 things happened with that process. 1, we got a document that's going to guide us for the next 5 years. And 2, we learned by doing that some of the techniques for, getting community engagement. And I hate to say it, but a lot of us who are over 40, we want to have a meeting and cookies, and we have the meeting with cookies and nobody comes. And so there's that one piece. So you get a little bit, you put a little bit of money into having a process where you build a plan. That's the first step. And then in that plan, you include communications. And then to deploy, so that's step 1 and step 2. And then to deploy the communications, you set up a structure where you address communications, and then you provide money and support for the technology aspect of it, because we have a tech person now that we didn't have, who manages the website, manages the videos, goes around and does any public meeting. We make sure it's streamed online, and we put the money into that position. And I know that the Superintendent's Association and the VSBA talks about, in some districts, having a position exclusively for communication, and it really makes a difference. Just having someone that you can say, can you post that? Can you help me with this video? So step 1, get a strategic planning process together, get lots of input. Step 2, create a strategic plan that addresses communication. Step 3, get a human being to help spearhead the communication. And then step 4, make sure you're revisiting the strategic plan and the communication on a regular basis.
Thank you for those steps. Carrie has informed me that we do have a few questions. I think she's going to let you know what they are, Jen.
Yes, here we go. How do you balance a story for your district as a whole as compared to each individual school?
So we have a Kingdom East website, and that's where we do the Kingdom East story. And then each individual school has its own website. So for instance, that Facilities Friday video that we watched was Sutton Village School. That gets posted to the Kingdom East Facebook page. And it also gets posted to the Sutton Village School Facebook page. And then they both like each other. And then we have all the other schools like it. So Sutton Village School and the people who live in the town of Sutton get to see this video about their school, and they get to hear Elizabeth, who's their neighbor, who is the head of maintenance there, talking. And so there's Sutton, but it's also, they have that video has the trailer at the beginning, which is all the principals. You know, if you watch one of those videos again, we're all saying Facilities Friday, and we're all excited about it. And then at the end, you have the manager. So you have the individual school sandwiched in the middle, and then the two bookends are all of our principals saying, yes, we're in this together, and the facilities manager saying, I'm here to help you. So if you take that as a metaphor, that video, right, all the principals, and then zooming into the individual school, and then we're here to support you, and you sandwich that, and we try to have that philosophy in everything that we do. And then if you go to our website, it's just kingdomeast.org, and you click on each school, each individual admin assistant in the school manages their own website, and they post calendars, and they post everything locally. And you know, and we have a number of programs that are district wide. Like we didn't have an athletics program before we merged, and now we had cross country running and soccer and basketball and alpine skiing at the local, you know, surface lift area. In the spring, we're going to do a track program, and those are, we combine 3 schools, and we have a coach, and the practice might be at one school. So those get posted on those 3 school websites and Facebook pages, and the Kingdom East Facebook page, but they don't get posted on the Facebook pages of the other schools. So, and we also, there's also, you know, when we lost our local school boards, each school does this differently, but we have these principal advisory groups, and the principal meets monthly, and they meet with parents, and then there's someone from the school board, the Kingdom East board, who goes to that meeting. So out at, you know, Miller's Run, for instance, Patrick Ham, the principal, he has a monthly meeting, and he has parents, and then he has a rep from the school board, and then they talk about what they want to do at Miller's Run, and then they make decisions that the principal can do, and he's empowered to do, but they work together on sort of crafting the strength of that building, and then the school board member is informed. So when we're talking about other issues, they're able to say, oh, well, you know, at this one school, Miller's Run, here's what I know is going on. So those are 2 ways we do that.
That sounds fantastic, Jen. I have one more question. It's a long one. It's about policy governance. A board member wants to know, what might this look like with a policy governance model? Our superintendent handles all website and Facebook media. The board has a Facebook page, and I've talked about creating video, but it gets tricky with the way policy governance is outlined. I suggested a video about a construction project that the community approved with a bond. The superintendent took it over, and I contacted and collected images and found a person to create the video. I was told I could not have a hand in the production. So what is it, and what is it not, the board's role in regards to community engagement? This gets complicated.
Yeah, and that's a really great question. And prior to coming to Kingdom East in Lyndonville, I worked for Chittenden East, which is now Mount Mansfield School District, and we went to policy governance there. And it's a different system. And when you read John Carver's work and you look at that 30,000-foot view, you know, policy governance, you are really looking at the business and the management and the fiscal aspect and the legal aspect and the negotiations, and making sure that the superintendent is carrying out that work. And so you know, we as a district were not ready to get to that policy governance level because just the community, it didn't fit. And in some communities, the policy governance level works. And so, you know, embedded in that question are 2 pieces. One is the structure of policy governance, and the other is an individual board member who has an incredible vision or interest in a video and a construction video piece. And, you know, one thing you can do is, if the board has its own website, the lens of what the board perspective is could be part of that board website. But it's tricky. And I'm not going to say with the policy governance model it can't be done. I just think that we don't have that structure. And so that's not, our board is more involved on some of the things that don't happen at the policy governance level. And I think one of the benefits of policy governance is that you don't have impediments when something needs to happen, because you're not having the board process part of it. So I guess to answer the question of this individual is that it's tricky, and it may not be something with that policy governance structure that can happen, and that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing, because it may be that the role of the board is not to create videos, promotional videos for the schools. The role of the board may be to do a promotional video for the board, but with policy governance, that's not. I don't believe that it's part of the role. I'd have to read the actual policy governance of the individual district. I don't know if that's a helpful answer.
Do we have any other questions, Carrie?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jen, for spending this time with us and educating us on Kingdom East's community engagement. Certainly a very important topic for all school boards in the state, and we appreciate your generosity in sharing with us how you go about doing it, and also all of the resources that are provided in the presentation.
You're very welcome, and thank you, everybody, and for all the board members out there still listening. You have no idea how much we appreciate the work that you do. And if any of you would like a copy, or if there's something you see, just reach out to Sue and she can contact me and we can get that to you. And also our board chair, Cynthia Stewart, would be more than happy to speak with you as well. And have a great spring.
Thank you, everyone.